Picture a little diner tucked away in a noisy corner of Chicago. It's the kind of place where the neon sign flickers. The booths are worn but cozy, and the smell of fresh coffee mixes with the sizzle of bacon on the grill. The regulars come for the cheap eats and the familiar faces, but tonight, the crowd's different. There's a buzz in the air, a restless energy, because the city's hosting a massive culinary showdown, a national cooking competition that's drawn chefs, foodies, and TV crews from all over. Amid the chaos, there's a woman moving quietly through the tables. Her name's Lena. She's a waitress, nothing more, at least to the people who glance her way. Her apron stained, her sneakers scuffed, and her dark hair's tied back in a no-nonsense bun. No makeup, no flair, just a notepad and a pen jotting down orders with a practiced hand. To everyone here, she's invisible, just part of the diner's rhythm. But what they don't see, what they can't even imagine, is that Lena's carrying a secret that's about to turn their world upside down. It's a hectic Saturday night, and the diner's packed to the rafters. The competition's in full swing just a few blocks away, and the spillover has flooded this place with contestants, judges, and hangers-on, all buzzing about the stakes. A $250,000 prize, a cookbook deal, and a shot at culinary stardom. The air's thick with ambition, and the diners become a stage for egos. Young chefs in crisp white strut through tossing jargon about molecular gastronomy and deconstructed classics. Food bloggers snap photos of their fries for Instagram, and a couple of TV producers bark orders like they own the place. Lena weaves through it all, balancing trays of burgers, and shakes her face calm, her eyes sharp, catching every detail. She hears the chatter, the boasts, the name, dropping the dreams of Michelin stars. She doesn't join in. She just serves, clears plates, and keeps moving like she's always done. But the way people treat her, it's like she's not even human. A hotshot chef, barely 25, snaps his fingers at her, demanding a Coke without looking up from his phone. "Hurry it up, babe," he mutters, smirking at his crew. They chuckle, and Lena nods, her expression blank, as she heads to the counter. At another table, a group of food critics dissect their meal, one of them sneering, "This place is a dump. Bet the staff can't even spell sous vide." The words are meant for her to hear, and they land like a slap, but Lena doesn't react. She's heard worse. She's used to being overlooked, underestimated, written off as just another nobody in a dead-end job. Then the night takes a turn. The competition's organizers, hunting for a viral moment, announce a wild card challenge right there in the diner. It's a last-minute stunt. Anyone can cook a dish using the diner's ingredients, and the winner gets a spot in the national finals. The crowd goes wild. Line cooks ditch their stations, a bartender grabs a knife, and even a few bold customers jump in, eager for a shot at glory. The diner's tiny kitchen becomes a battlefield, and the energy's electric. Lena's coworkers nudge her to join. "Come on, Lena, you're always tinkering with recipes," one says, grinning. "Show 'em what you got." But she shakes her head, her voice soft but firm. "I'm good," she says, and goes back to scrubbing a ketchup stain off a table. That's when the spotlight finds her. One of the judges, a celebrity chef named Victor Kane, spots her from across the room. He's a big deal. Cookbooks TV shows a reputation for shredding egos with a single quip. Tonight he's bored, and Lena's quiet presence catches his eye. Maybe it's her plain apron or the way she's working while everyone else is chasing fame. Whatever it is, he sees a chance to play the crowd. "Hey, you," he calls, his voice cutting through the noise. "Miss Waitress, what's your deal? Gonna cook us something fancy?" The room erupts in laughter. Someone yells, "Yeah, sling some hash diner, lady." Another voice chimes in, "Bet she makes a mean PB&J." Victor grins, loving the reaction. "Come on, sweetheart, don't hide. Let's see what you've got." Lena freezes her hands, tightening around the rag she's holding. The diner's watching her now, every eye locked on her, waiting for her to shrink. The laughter's loud, cruel, and Victor leans forward, sensing an easy win. "What, too shy or just out of your league?" he taunts, winking at the crowd. They eat it up, phones out, ready to capture her humiliation. For a moment, it looks like she might break. Her shoulders sag. Her gaze drops, and the weight of their judgment presses down like a storm. But then something changes. It's subtle. A slight straightening of her spine, a flicker of steel in her eyes. She sets the rag down, smooths her apron, and looks at Victor. Her voice is quiet, but it carries. All right, she says, I'll cook. The room stumbles into silence, then explodes again. Cheers, jeers, a mix of mockery and curiosity. Victor claps, delighted. Oh, this'll be fun, he says. 30 minutes diner, girl. Blow us away or get out. Lena doesn't answer. She just nods and heads to the kitchen. Her steps steady her face, a mask of calm. The crowd's buzzing, but she's already gone. Her mind racing, her heart steady. They think they've set her up to fail, but Lena, she's got something they can't even dream of, something that's been simmering inside her for years, waiting for the right moment to boil over. And the kitchen's a madhouse, a clash of clanging pans, shouted curses, and the sharp tang of burning oil. Contestants are elbowing for space, grabbing ingredients, and racing against the clock. Lena slips in like a shadow, finding a corner by the stove where no one bothers to look. The other cooks, chefs with culinary school degrees, influencers with slick knife skills, don't even notice her. To them, she's a non-issue, a waitress who's wandered into their world by mistake. A guy in a chef's coat, all tattoos and attitude, bumps into her as he reaches for the garlic. Watch it, diner lady, he snaps, rolling his eyes. Lena doesn't respond. She's already working her hands, moving with a quiet precision, pulling together ingredients. Most would overlook a handful of wilted herbs, a block of cheddar, a few overripe tomatoes, a stick of butter past its prime. It's not much, but to her it's a canvas. Outside the diner's a spectacle. The crowd's pressed against the counter phones, raised live streaming the chaos. Victor Kane's holding court, his voice booming through a mic as he plays to the audience. Look at this guy, he says, pointing at a contestant fumbling with a whisk. Thinks he's a chef, but he's whipping air. The crowd roars. Then his gaze lands on Lena and his smirk sharpens. And here's our wild card, folks. The waitress. What's she cooking? Burnt dreams with a side of ketchup. The laughter's vicious and a chant starts up diner girl, diner girl. It's meant to sting, and it does, but Lena doesn't look up. She's in her zone, her hands a blur as she chops, stirs, tastes. She's simmering a sauce, the aroma creeping through the kitchen, subtle at first, but rich layered like something you'd find in a Paris bistro, not a greasy spoon. The clock's relentless, ticking down to 0. One contestant's cursing as his pasta sticks to the pan. Another's yelling for salt, shoving past a server. Someone's dish goes up in flames and the crowd gasps as a producer douses it with a towel. Lena's calm, almost eerily so. She's roasting vegetables, the edges caramelizing just right, and kneading a quick dough for flatbread. Her movements fluid, instinctive. The diner's head chef, a grizzled guy who's worked there for decades, pauses by her station sniffing the air. Damn, he mutters almost to himself. That's not normal. Lena glances at him, a faint nod, then keeps going, her focus razor sharp. The crowd's not laughing as much now. A few people near the kitchen lean in, catching the scent of her dish, whispering to each other. But Victor's not done. He's pacing mic in hand, ready to bury her. 10 minutes, the producer shouts, and the kitchen's a frenzy. Contestants are plating, cursing, praying. Lena's almost done. She's assembling her dish with the care of a painter, a rustic tomato tart, the pastry golden topped with roasted vegetables, and a drizzle of herb-infused sauce that looks like it belongs in a gallery, not a diner. It's simple but stunning, a love letter to the ingredients she had to work with. She wipes the plate's edge, steps back, and exhales, her hands steady but her heart racing. The buzzer sounds and the contestants rush to the judging table, plates in hand. Lena's last, her dish unassuming next to the others' towering creations. The crowd's buzzing, but it's cruel, expectant, ready for her to flop. Victor's grinning, leaning forward as she sets her plate down. All right, diner girl, he says, his voice dripping with condescension. Let's see what you've got. What is this, your mom's tomato pie? The crowd snickers, but it's weaker, less sure. Lena stands there, her face calm, her eyes locked on the judges. She doesn't say a word. She doesn't need to. Victor grabs a fork, cuts into the tart, and takes a bite. His smirk still in place, then he stops. His jaw slows, his eyes narrow, and he takes another bite this time, deliberate, like he's tasting something he can't quite believe. The other judges follow, and the reactions ripple across their faces: shock, delight, confusion. One judge, a food writer with a reputation for snobbery, leans forward, sniffing the dish, then takes a bite and closes her eyes like she's been transported somewhere else. The crowd senses it. The shift in the chatter fades. People stretch to see, whispering, "What's happening?" Victor sets his fork down, slow, deliberate. He looks at Lena, his smirk gone, replaced by something else: respect, maybe even awe. "What's your name?" he asks, his voice quiet but firm. The room's so still you could hear a napkin drop. Lena meets his gaze, her voice soft but clear. "Lena," she says. "Lena Moreau." Victor nods like he's committing it to memory, then leans back, his face unreadable. "Lena," he repeats. "Where did you learn to cook like that?" The crowd's murmuring now, confused, excited, sensing something big. They're not laughing anymore. They're waiting, hanging on her answer, and Lena's standing there calm as ever, with a secret that's about to break the room wide open. The judges are still reeling their forks, hovering over Lena's plate, like they're afraid to break the spell. Victor Kane, the man who's built a career on tearing people down, is speechless for the first time all night. The crowd's restless, leaning in, phones still raised, but now capturing something different, not a joke, but a moment. Lena stands there, her apron still tied, her hands clasped in front of her, looking every bit like the waitress they mocked. But there's a quiet strength in her now, a glint in her eyes that says she's been here before, faced worse, and come out on top. The diner's holding its breath, and the air feels like it's crackling with possibility. Victor grabs the mic, his voice low at first, almost reverent. "Folks," he says, pausing for effect, "we've got a situation here." He points at Lena's plate, his eyes never leaving her. "This isn't just food, this is magic. This is the kind of dish that stops you in your tracks, makes you forget where you are. And this woman," he gestures at Lena, "this woman is no waitress. She's a damn culinary genius." The diner erupts. Cheers explode, people jump to their feet, clapping, shouting her name. It's chaos, but it's beautiful, a wave of awe and excitement that sweeps through the room. The other contestants are stunned, some clapping, others staring like they've been hit by lightning. The tattooed chef who bumped her earlier mutters, "No freaking way," but his voice is lost in the roar. The judges are conferring now, nodding, scribbling notes, but it's clear they're sold. The food writer, still clutching her fork, turns to Victor. "This is better than half the plates at the Nationals," she says loud enough for the mic to catch. The crowd roars again, and Lena. She's still standing there, her face calm, but there's a flicker of something: pride, maybe, or relief. Victor holds up a hand, silence in the room. "Lena Moreau," he says, his voice booming. "Now you're not just in the finals. You're the one we're all going to be watching. And I'm begging you, open a restaurant, because I need more of this in my life." The crowd laughs, but it's warm, admiring, a far cry from the mockery of before. That's when it happens. A woman in the crowd, a food blogger with a massive following, stands up, her face pale, her phone trembling in her hand. "Wait," she says, her voice cutting through the noise. "Lena Moreau, as in Chef Moreau, the one who won the James Beard Award at 22, the prodigy who trained with Joel Robuchon in Paris." The room freezes. Every head turns to Lena, who doesn't move, doesn't flinch. The blogger's voice shakes. "You disappeared a decade ago. Everyone thought you retired, went off the grid. But you're here working in a diner." The silence is deafening, electric, like the moment before a storm breaks. Lena finally speaks, her voice steady, warm, like she's sharing a piece of herself she's kept hidden for years. "I didn't retire," she says, her eyes sweeping the room. "I just needed to breathe. The spotlight, the pressure, it wasn't for me. So I came here to this diner to cook for people who don't care about awards or fame, to remember why I fell in love with food in the first place." She glances at her plate, a small smile tugging at her lips. "But this is me, and I'm not hiding anymore." The crowd, stunned, whispering, piecing it together. Victor laughs, a real unguarded laugh, and shakes his head. "A James Beard winner, slinging burgers in a diner. Lena, you're a legend." The producer, grinning ear to ear, rushes over with a golden ticket to the Nationals. "You're in," he says, handing it to her. "And we're putting you on prime time." The crowd goes wild again, chanting, "Lena, Lena." The judges stand clapping. And even the snarkiest contestants join in, some sheepishly, others with genuine respect. The blogger who recognized her pushes through stammering an apology for her earlier jab, but Lena just smiles, gentle but firm. It's all right, she says. I'm used to it. Victor pulls her aside as the chaos settles, his voice, low, serious. Lena, you've got something special. Not just talent, Heart. Don't let the world miss out on it again. She nods, and for the first time her smile is full radiant, like she's finally letting herself shine. The diner's still buzzing, people snapping photos, already tweeting about the diner girl who's about to take the culinary world by storm. The critics who mocked her are quiet now, some slipping out the back, others scribbling notes trying to save face. The tattooed chef claps her on the shoulder, muttering, "Respect," before heading back to his station. Lena stands in the middle of it all, ticket in hand, apron still tied, looking out at the crowd. She's not just a waitress anymore. She's Lena Moreau, the chef who walked away from fame and came back on her own terms, ready to cook her way to the top. And the lesson here, don't ever judge someone by their cover. That quiet woman pouring your coffee, the one you barely notice, she might be a culinary titan waiting for her moment to dazzle the world. So next time you're in a diner, take a second look. You might be sitting across from a legend, and trust me, you don't want to be the one who laughs before they shine.